Everyone dreams of becoming successful. We imagine the day our hard work finally pays off, when our efforts are recognized, when life begins to change, and everything finally starts going our way. And there's nothing wrong with celebrating that moment. You've earned it. But here's a question very few people ever ask. What if your biggest challenge doesn't come before success, but after it? Because success changes your life in ways you don't always notice. It brings new opportunities, new responsibilities, new decisions, and sometimes new dangers. The strange thing is, those dangers rarely announce themselves. They often arrive quietly, at the very moment you believe life has become easier. That's why success should never be the moment you stop paying attention. In fact, it may be the moment you need your awareness the most. Watch this story and discover why the moment everything starts going your way may be the moment you need to be the most careful. In a peaceful valley surrounded by towering green hills, there lived a young elephant named Mika. Unlike the other young elephants in his village, Mika wasn't fascinated by games or showing off his strength. He was fascinated by one thing: the working elephants. Every morning, before the sun climbed above the hills, a group of enormous elephants would leave the village together. Some carried giant stone blocks. Some cleared fallen trees from the roads. Others broke massive rocks that blocked rivers and mountain paths. They were the strongest elephants in the region. But people didn't admire them simply because they were strong. They admired them because they used their strength to make life better for everyone. They built safer roads, protected the forests, expanded the village, and in return, they earned respect, earned a good living, and became the pride of the entire elephant community. Whenever those elephants walked through the village, young elephants would stop whatever they were doing just to watch them pass. Mika was no different. Every single morning, he would stand quietly beside the village road, his eyes following them until they disappeared beyond the hills. One morning, his father noticed him staring once again. With a gentle smile, he walked over and asked, "What are you looking at so carefully?" Mika didn't take his eyes off the group. "I want to become one of them someday." His father looked toward the working elephants, then back at his son. "Do you know why everyone respects them?" Mika answered without hesitation, "Because they are the strongest." His father smiled. "They're strong, but that's not the real reason." Mika looked up, curious. The village respects them because they carry responsibilities that others cannot. They don't use their strength to impress people. They use it to serve them. Mika listened carefully. His father placed a gentle trunk on his shoulder. "If that is truly your dream, then don't chase their applause. Chase the discipline that made them worthy of it." Those words stayed with Mika. From that day on, every time he watched the working elephants leave the village, he imagined himself walking beside them, not for the money, not for the praise, but because, one day, he wanted someone to look at him the same way he looked at them. Little did Mika know, that dream would one day come true, but along with it, would come a challenge he never imagined. A few weeks later, the entire village buzzed with excitement. The annual stone throwing tournament had finally arrived. It wasn't just another competition. 4 generations. This tournament had been the village's way of discovering its strongest young elephants. The winners earned recognition, respect, and sometimes, if they continued proving themselves, they would one day be invited to join the working elephants. The moment Mika heard the announcement, his heart raced. This is my chance. Without thinking twice, he wrote his name among the participants. 4 days, he could barely sleep. He imagined himself throwing the winning rock, hearing the crowd cheer, and making his father proud. Finally, the day arrived. Elephants from every corner of the village gathered around the enormous stone field. Huge rocks had been placed in a long line. Far in the distance, bright flags marked where previous champions had landed their throws. Mika looked at those flags and quietly whispered to himself, "One day, my rock will land there." One by one, the competitors stepped forward. Some threw their rocks so far, the crowd erupted into cheers. Others weren't as strong, but still managed respectable throws. Then, Mika's name echoed across the field. He took a deep breath, walked toward the massive stone, placed both hands firmly around it. The crowd became silent. With all the strength he had, Mika lifted the rock, let out a powerful roar, and hurled it forward. The rock sailed through the air. For a brief moment, Mika smiled. But then, it landed, not even halfway across the field. The silence lasted only a second. Soon, another elephant stepped forward and threw a rock nearly twice the distance. Then another, and another. By the end of the tournament, Mika's throw had become one of the shortest of the day. The winners stood proudly at the center of the field, receiving applause from the village. Mika stood quietly at the edge of the crowd. He clapped for them, but inside, his dream felt farther away than ever. As the villagers slowly walked home, Mika picked up a small stone from the ground, looked toward the distant flags, and closed his hand around it. His father caught up beside him. "You seem quiet." Mika forced a smile. "I thought I was stronger." His father didn't answer immediately. The two walked home in silence. After a while, his father finally spoke. "Today didn't tell you what you can become. It only showed you where you are." Mika lowered his head. "What if I'm just not strong enough?" His father smiled gently. "No elephant is born ready for responsibility. Strength is built, one day at a time." That night, while the rest of the village celebrated its champions, Mika lay awake staring into the darkness. For the first time in his life, he realized something. Dreaming about the top and earning your place there were two very different things. After that day, Mika stopped making excuses. Every morning before sunrise, he trained. He lifted heavier rocks, ran through the hills, climbed mountains, carrying giant logs. He ate healthy food, rested well, and trained again. Rain never stopped him. Heat never stopped him. Months passed, and without anyone realizing, Mika had become stronger than he had ever imagined. Soon, the annual stone throwing tournament returned. When Mika stepped onto the field, many elephants still remembered his poor performance from last year. But the moment he threw his first rock, the entire crowd fell silent. It flew farther than anyone expected. Round after round, Mika outperformed every competitor. By the end of the tournament, he was crowned the champion. That very day, the leader of the working elephants invited Mika to join their team. His childhood dream had finally come true. Mika believed he had reached the happiest chapter of his life. He did not know the most dangerous chapter was about to begin. Joining the working elephants changed Mika's life overnight. Every morning, he worked alongside the strongest elephants in the village. Together, they carried giant rocks, cleared blocked roads, opened new paths through the forest, and helped expand the village's territory. The work was hard, But Mika loved every moment of it. At the end of each week, he earned more money than he had ever imagined. He proudly handed most of it to his father. Life finally felt rewarding. But something else had changed too. Elephants who had never spoken to him now greeted him every morning. Some invited him to eat together after work. Others asked him to train with them. They laughed with him, praised him, and treated him like they had known him for years. Deep inside, Mika felt happy. He had always dreamed of having many friends. Maybe, he thought, this is what success feels like. Maybe people finally see who I really am. Among those elephants was one named Ronnie. Back when Mika was unknown, Ronnie had barely acknowledged him. Sometimes he walked right past him, without even saying hello. Now, Ronnie smiled every time they met. He praised Mika, joked with him, and before long, the two became close friends. As the days passed, Mika and Ronnie became almost inseparable. They worked together, walked home together, shared meals. Even on their days off, they spent hours exploring the forest or talking beside the river. Mika enjoyed every moment. For the first time in his life, he felt like he truly belonged. One evening, Mika invited Ronnie to his home for dinner. His father welcomed him warmly. The three of them laughed, shared stories, and enjoyed a peaceful evening together. When Ronnie finally left, Mika smiled. I told you he is a good friend. His father remained quiet for a moment. Then he gently said, Mika, never forget this. Success brings many people into your life, but not everyone who walks beside you is walking for you. Mika laughed softly. You worry too much, father. He is my friend. His father smiled, but something in his heart still did not feel right. A few days later, Ronnie walked up to Mika before work. He looked tired. His voice sounded weak. Mika, I need a favor. I have been assigned to clear loose rocks inside the eastern cave today. But I have not been feeling well since last night. Could you do my shift just this once? Mika smiled without hesitation. Of course. That is what friends are for. Ronnie thanked him repeatedly, then quietly walked away. The next morning, Mika picked up his tools and headed toward the eastern cave. As Mika approached the eastern cave, a familiar voice called out behind him. Mika! He turned around. It was his father. Breathing heavily, he had run all the way from the village. Father, what are you doing here? His father looked at the cave, then back at Mika. Do not go inside. Mika frowned. Why? I cannot explain it. His father said quietly, but something feels wrong. Mika shook his head. It is only a work assignment. Ronnie is not feeling well. I promised I would help him. His father stepped closer. Mika, please, come home. For the first time, Mika became frustrated. Why do you always doubt people? Not everyone is trying to hurt me. I cannot walk away every time someone asks for help. His father looked into his eyes. He knew his words would not change Mika's mind. Without saying another word, he walked past Mika. Nearby lay a massive boulder. Gathering every bit of strength he had, he lifted it and hurled it deep inside the cave. For a brief moment, everything was silent. Then, a thunderous roar echoed through the mountain. The ground began to shake. Huge boulders crashed from every direction. Within seconds, the entrance of the cave disappeared beneath thousands of rocks. Dust filled the air. Mika stood frozen. His heart pounded. If he had taken just a few more steps, he would have been trapped inside forever. Slowly, he looked at the collapsed cave, then at his father. His eyes filled with tears. He could not believe it. The moment he thought life had become easier, it had almost come to an end. Success is a beautiful thing. Work for it. Dream about it. Celebrate it. There is nothing wrong with becoming stronger, earning respect, or building a better life. But remember this: success does not only change your future, it changes the situations you walk into, the responsibilities you carry, the decisions you make, and sometimes, the people who suddenly want to walk beside you. That does not mean everyone has bad intentions. It simply means that as your success grows, your wisdom must grow with it. A kind heart is a gift, but kindness without awareness can become a weakness. Mika was not saved by his strength. He was saved because someone with experience recognized the danger before he did. Sometimes, the people who truly care about you will tell you something you do not want to hear. Listen to them. One moment of patience, one moment of caution, can protect everything you spent years building. So, become successful. Work harder than ever. Chase your dreams without fear. But when success finally arrives, do not stop paying attention. Because sometimes, the greatest danger does not appear on the road to success. It quietly waits after you get there. So, become successful, but never close your eyes. Thank you for watching. Another meaningful story awaits you in the next episode. Subscribe to this channel and stay tuned.